All right, we're good to go. All right, we're good to go. All right, we're good to go. You want to kick
Hello,
sauce,
hello.
Jordan? You want to kick sauce,
Hello,
Jordan?
hello.
You hear me?
You want to kick sauce, Jordan?
You hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
You hear me?
Yep.
Hello?
Yes.
You hear me?
Oh no.
Hello? All right, sorry, my laptop is freaking out right now, but I think we're good. I think we're good.
All right, it's
Are
all
we
you,
good?
sir. Yep.
Yep.
All right. Welcome everybody to the Boomer Talk podcast. My name is Jordan. My co-host is Taylor, aka Somebody's Gun, and this week we have probably one of the best episodes we're gonna have. We have two, not one, but two heads of top EU professional esports orgs. We have Luuu from Wave Esports and Reno from Become Legends. Welcome, guys, to the podcast.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to be here.
So we got a lot to talk about today. Obviously, Fortnite Chapter 2 Season 5 came out yesterday. A lot to talk about there. We're going to try to keep it short on the news updates, though, because I know both of you guys have a ton you want to talk about related to orgs, and we definitely want to hear what you guys have to say about that. But well, let's start with a little bit of news, start with a little bit of a Season 5 update. Taylor, do you want to run us down with the updates?
Yeah, so first we have the start of the new season, some significant map changes. I know some people were complaining that there wasn't enough. To me, this is a pretty large change in the map from season to season. We have the sand all over the middle, and then probably some huge meta changes with the rift, the 0 point rocks and fish. And then the sand obviously is going to play a big part. There's no more upgrade machines. That's going to be key. And another thing that's missing that was pretty well used was the bandage cannon, which I haven't seen. Again, it's the beginning of the season, so it takes a couple of weeks for things to settle down. But how do you guys feel about the beginning of the season and some quick initial thoughts?
I might start here. I'm actually really enjoying the season. I took quite a long break from Fortnite. Haven't really played much during the last 6 months, but only just took some sneak peeks every now and then. But this season, I can actually see myself grinding a little bit when I have time. We can talk about the details and all the changes later, but I'm very positive so far about this season.
Cool.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to put it like that. I'm actually every season I kind of hope that it's gonna head in a bit more competitive direction with like less of this PvE stuff going on, since I really want to focus on the PvP part. But I mean, then again, with all the changes with the sand, I'm looking forward to seeing like the new zones, new POIs, the rotations, how everything's going to work. I think from what I see internally, like we have one controller player in the academy, Technique. He loves it. The other guys are like a bit mixed. They're missing the spaz. Obviously, I get that. So I mean, yeah. So, but I think it's going to be interesting.
All right.
It's maybe a bit of a meta topic, but I think the fact that Fortnite always is changing and bringing new content is definitely something that's gonna be always in the game. So like, of course, competitive players, they want stability and like always the same things, so they don't have to adapt. But yeah, I think all of this content is what kind of made Fortnite so big.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Brings the casuals to the game, and yeah, so far I think with the new content stuff they added, I think they did a very good job.
What are you guys thinking about in terms of like the gold bars currency thing? Obviously, it's gonna affect casual players a lot more than it does competitive players. They kind of nerfed it in that the gold bars don't carry over from game to game. So it's going to be a lot less impactful and competitive. But what do you guys think of that? Both like the general idea of a currency resource as well as how they've decided to implement it.
Yeah, today I was actually asking myself the question if in competitive this will how it will impact. At this moment, it's hard to say like how useful it will be. and I haven't really looked through the full like all you can do with this system. I think it's a bit like useless, but we'll see. If usually if you can get a competitive advantage out of any mechanic, people will use it, and I think it's just like take some time to see how it is being used.
Yeah, I'm the same. Like I've been thinking about how impactful is it actually in competitive, and something we tell our players every single patch, like if there is something in a meta that you can abuse, like use to your advantage, please do it. Don't be afraid. Like don't care what people say. Like if you remember, like last season, the kid who placed second in DreamHack using the broomstick, he got some hate. Like I think it's so stupid. I think it's clever as hell. I love when people do that. I obviously I love esports like StarCraft and stuff like that, League of Legends, Dota, where like there's always new metas, things are changing when the champions, when spells change, and I think more variance in Fortnite in that sense, and being able to use the meta in the current patch is definitely something. So I hope the gold bar system maybe has some impact, but we'll see.
Yeah. But it kind of reminds me of back in the old days when people, especially in Fortnite, they like to shame others for certain playstyles. For example, the ballers, when that was in the game, it was super OP during World Cup days, and many people qualified for World Cup and had a life-changing experience, I would say. And those that were just flaming and saying, "Oh, borders are for noobs and I don't need them," it's their own fault why they didn't qualify to World Cup. So just play smart, I would say.
T-Chub, for example, went from 48th to 12th place in the last game of Fortnite World Cup because of smart bowler play. So use the meta. I think it's like that. Don't care what people say. It's always going to change, and I think it's just 200 IQ to use it to your advantage.
Yeah, and over time, Epic Games and Fortnite have seemed to always put something in the game that kind of gives you that ability to play differently and not necessarily have to be the box fight king in order to win games. I mean, the most notable one is the mech. But I think when they get put into practice, what really turns out is the pros are able to do them better than anyone else. And the initial idea isn't necessarily accomplished.
That's kind of fitting to our discussion group here. Like it's kind of mechanics that help boomers also compete, I would say. Like grenade launchers and all of those weapons. You don't need to be a crazy box fighter to get kills with whatever crazy things, like the sword, There's all of these things that
good times.
They level the skill gap a bit, but at the highest level, box fighting, like just shotgun fights, that's something.
I think stuff like that is what maybe helps some of the more casual players to actually be able to compete, because pound for pound, I don't think like a casual player can stand up to the top mechanical Fortnite pros. So these rotations is probably like what keeps some of the player base stay and new players to come. Because if it was more like Counter-Strike Go and you come in a fight and you meet Benji and Tayson and everybody, and you're going to get very discouraged if you're not like a top pro. So
100%. All right, let's touch on some other quick news items we got here. Another one would be, I'm personally a fan of this because I hate the ambiguity sometimes that Epic Games provides, but they went out, stated when everyone was selling those Wildcat skins, don't do that crap. And I believe it was also the French Fortnite said something against wagers as well, which kind of reinforces things that were in the TOS that have kind of just slid under the radar. I don't know if you guys want to mention anything. I'm just going to continue to move on through a couple of things here so we can get to everything. Another one is this new, the FaZe Martaz thumbstick for analog while playing keyboard and mouse. I think is going to be an interesting piece that might or might not become meta. Is that something either of you guys are suggesting to your players currently or even exploring?
I was actually considering trying one of these, I think keypad they're called, when I was playing myself. Uh, if you think about it, like keyboards are not made for gaming; they're made for writing. So I think in general in gaming, over the next 5, maybe 10 years, we might see some um, revolutions in that way when it comes to input methods. And especially in Fortnite with the controller movement, having the stick and the mouse, that's a powerful combination.
Yeah, we actually, I remember when we were starting Become Legends, I was asking why nobody did it, because it kind of, from the outside of having been in esports, it kind of seemed like an obvious advantage, even back then, like combining the two forces. But I think it's definitely interesting. And as Lou said, like there's going to be some revolutions over the next 5-10 years. I know some players who've actually tried like pedals for double movement. So like I'm talking like racing gear pedals. Like actually, we Jetpacks tried it on our last boot camp just to see how, like when it was back in the game, like in summer. So I think there's going to be some changes. So I kind of hope it is something that takes off, but I don't know. It's definitely going to be something that Epic also will have to balance in some ways. There's definitely going to be some advantages compared to other input methods. So yeah, we'll see.
Also, one underlooked aspect of it is you also have more space in your gaming setup, because like a keyboard, especially like if it's not 60% keyboard, takes up a lot of space for your mouse mousepad area. And if you have like a smaller device on the left side, then you have way more room to be in a comfortable position. But yeah.
Yeah, it also frees up the rest of your fingers if you're just using your thumb. So that can be all your weapons, builds, edits, everything like that. So it may wind up becoming meta at some point. I mean, no one really, when Epic Whale went hybrid and started playing on controller and keyboard and mouse, no one really thought that was going to be the best idea. And then he proved to us that it can. And now Martaz has proven to us that, okay, this can work. So I'm really interested to see if he or anyone else using that over this next season is going to have any significant placements, because I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, if it does... Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, for me personally, it just was always a big problem to change anything with my binds, because I think it's maybe also an age thing. The older you get and the more you're used to whatever binds you have, the harder it is to change. But if somebody is like young and just getting started, definitely mess around with your keybinds, with whatever input you want to use. I think it's easy to change.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if he does place high or even win a tournament, there's going to be lots of people who are going to try that. So
yeah, and he's going to have like a 2-month advantage on everyone. So they're all catching up at that point. All right. Last topic. The 100 Thieves Cash App compound was in game. It was the Fortnite Creative Hub. I'm sure you guys, you're all always working on stuff in the background, but as two people who are part of an organization and the traditional hesitancy or hesitance from Epic Games to work with orgs, this had to be awesome, right? You know, Lou, give us some insight as to...
I was very surprised by this move for the reasons you mentioned, of course. I wonder what the behind the scenes agreements are when it comes to stuff like that. If there's some cash flow, or however that comes into place. But yeah, it's nice to see. Of course, it's more the creative side, but I think also on the competitive side, we're going more into a esports environment, but we're still, like when it comes to org side, maybe a little bit far away, but that's maybe also a topic for later on, a bigger one.
Reno, anything you want to throw out there before we move on to our first topic?
Yeah, I was surprised. I didn't think they were going to do anything with orgs this year, to be honest. But obviously, there's some commercial powers in place there that are huge. I think it's good. I think it can maybe impact Epic and loosen up that threshold to actually do something more with orgs. So crossing my fingers, next year there's both Wave and BL jerseys inside the Fortnite. That would be... So thanks, 100 Thieves, if they started that. So yeah.
With a revenue split.
Yes, please.
That'd be awesome. I know I'd scoop a couple in-game jerseys,
Oh
or if
yeah.
it was like the football ones where you buy one and then you get them all would be sick as well. So either implementation.
Yeah.
All right, now let's get into the meat of it. Jordan, you want to start us off, or you want me to keep rolling?
Yeah, throw the first one out there.
All right, cool. So you guys have essentially come from the bottom up. A lot of the successful esports orgs within Fortnite right now were successful in other games and then came and took a place in Fortnite and have continued to be successful. But Wave and Become Legends don't necessarily have the huge backing of an NRG or a TSM, a Liquid. So let's start with you, Reno. What has led to that initial success? And then I'd love to get your thoughts as well after, Lou.
Yeah. It kind of started. I think what led to initial success was I worked in esports for many years, and I'd been doing events with for Blizzard Entertainment and Red Bull and other, and doing like tournaments around in Norway. And I spent a lot of years to try to identify, because I personally wanted to go back to competitive. To put some context there, I used to play World of Warcraft when I was younger, on a high level in the method, and I absolutely loved that. But when Fortnite came around, and I felt it was at the end of my event journey, I kind of used all the experience I've gained over the years to identify how we can build up Become Legends, and we kind of did it over a span of a month. So month from we founded Become Legends, 1 month later we were at the World Cup. We managed to sign Teach Up, the guy right behind me here, and when he placed 12th, it kind of kickstarted and gave us faith to invest into this, and we got early investors on board, investors who've been with me on my other projects, and we got sponsors on board, and that kind of allowed us to slowly start to build it brick for brick, and it's been an absolutely insane journey so far.
All right. What about
Yeah.
you, Lou?
For me, I come from a player background, so I was one of the first professional Fortnite players. Played under teams such as War Legend, Windstrike, and then for Wave, I was the first signed pro player. And Wave was a rather small project in the beginning. And as I turned into more and more of a boomer, I switched into the management. And yeah, I think everyone really started taking things super serious with us in the team after Giannis's big success, winning the solo FNCS Invitational. At that moment, we were for sure all on the same boat that we want to take this to a very professional level. And yeah, that's pretty much where we're at right now.
All right, cool. And go ahead, Jordan.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about what makes both of your orgs successful. I mean, you guys are both definitely at the top. I mean, we could say globally, but for certain EU. And actually, like the main reason why you guys were interested in coming on this podcast was there's a lot of buzz around orgs entering, throwing cash at players, quickly exiting, and kind of while they're doing that, they're messing with players' expectations of what contracts should be, expectations of what org should be doing. And we see a couple of orgs that have been successful, including you guys, and then we see a lot of orgs that are really struggling. What do you think makes your org successful? And what are the other orgs doing wrong?
Yeah, I can start this one. I think one of the key factors to us is we have a very small team who runs BL. We're only 5-6 people right now, but we've been like 3 since the beginning, and all of us are quite we're all in the boomer range, so we're quite adult, and I think that's an advantage in a very young scene. We have used it as a kind of superpower to make sure that everything is right. I mean, we have also been young and ambitious, and made our mistakes in the past, obviously, when we were young. So I think one of the things that we have done is we have focused on the business side of things first. So that means every single decision we kind of take, it goes through the business side of Become Legends. So every single player we sign, every single thing we do, we kind of try to think of it that, we need to have funding for it. B, we need to be able to get some value out of it, like either commercially or through performance. So we have been very carefully selecting who we recruit. Like, to give you an example, we have spent at most 6 months on a dialogue with one player, and then we sign him after 6 months. So we're not the org who kind of just, he's a good player, let's just sign him. We're like, okay, he's good. Let's see how he does. Let's follow him for a long while. Let's get some charts up, and let's see his statistics over time. If the trajectory is going like in the right direction, we usually end up trying to get them in Become Legends. So for us, it's like very, very data driven, very business driven, and I think that's maybe some of the younger people don't have that experience yet. So it's
Yeah, I think to the point of why so many orgs pop up and fail, I think it's just in these days it's very easy to just make an org, make a Twitter page, and talk to a couple of people that represent you. But people underestimate that there's a lot of commitment and resources also needed to actually run a sustainable org, and especially the business side of everything is something that people should have a plan beforehand, and it's a hill to climb, but once you need to just get over that first hump, I think, to get things rolling. And yeah, if you don't have a plan coming in, it's very hard. Like, just getting a couple of good players and good results and hoping to make money of it is not gonna work.
true.
Reno, one of the things that you said piqued my interest. You talked about how BL uses statistics. They're very data driven. That's right up my alley. It's what I do. I do statistics. I do data science. Yeah. So what type of things are you looking at? Like, what should players be trying to focus on to make themselves appealing to orgs? What metrics are you using to track players over time?
Yeah. So to break down the formula to like the core basics, it's basically consistency x social media x potential equals something. So in each of those parts, so obviously, like what we're looking for in a player, it's not usually the guy who's going to win every single tournament, but we want somebody who is very consistent in his play and who can adapt from like meta to meta. To give you one example of that is we have, for example, a couple of players right now who are very placement heavy players. So when the last patch came and you have crash pads and all this stuff, and people can just jump into their boxes and just shit on them. Pardon my language. I think like stuff like that can maybe ruin the consistency of the players in tournaments if they're not like the classic box fighter. So that's the kind of analytics we try to use. And in terms of social media, we also try to look for players who are active, but not just active, but have like we'd rather sign a player who has 10K followers and has good engagement rate than signing a player who's 50K and nobody really cares about what he says or posts. Because in the end, like if we're paying his salary and we want to convert some of the fans of the player to fans to Become Legends, we need ambassadors, to put it like that, or players to be ambassadors for the org. But ideally, like in a perfect world, just to say like what our dream is for the future is to have some sort of system where we can track even more stuff from like the in-game data, which kind of feeds into the consistency part, like everything from everything that's, I think War Legends are doing quite a lot on that part right now with their tools that are giving to spectate tools. But I think like those tools can definitely become useful for orgs, and we would love to pursue having some data science on that part, like everything from like in-game accuracy. I mean, even that's where like in Fortnite it's hard to track. Like, is he shooting at a player? Is he shooting at a wall? Like, how are you going to measure that? There's so many things that Fortnite is so complex compared to Counter-Strike, and but hopefully in the future it will be even more data-driven. So that's what we do right now.
Yeah, like you mentioned, I think it's basically you need to trim it down, especially in Fortnite. Like half of it is performance placement, the other half is like the social media growth potential. But then the third factor, I think it's also very important, is like the mindset and the kind of the way of the player thinks. Like if he's willing to work and willing to also it's more than just signing with an org and changing your name. If you actually work with an org, representing it well, being willing to do content actively and always being reachable, like those are very important factors as well for an org.
Yeah, especially with the salaries going in right now. That's
yeah.
they have to give back. I mean, obviously, it's just the nature of every sports or esports that's successful and has viewership and viewership growing. It's the salaries are going to go up. There's no doubt about that. But as you mentioned, the players need to start adapting to that part. I think many of them, or some players think orgs are just like these magic money banks that just give you some money every month, and then you don't need to do anything. It's just like fantastic. So
yeah, I think it's a lot of that comes into Fortnite being a young demographic, but also it's very easy to make money. So like people think they win some money in the first cups and they're pros now, and they deserve to get as much from the org as well, because they're just used to getting money by playing. It makes this entry barrier into having the mindset that you deserve a paycheck changes it, just because it's rather easy to make through tournaments. Whereas if you played, I don't know, any other FPS games where you need to play like like in a top 20 global team, and then you get good salaries, that's a lot harder to also win tournaments there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a huge difference because of that franchise model versus this is kind of just open free reign. Anyone can do anything, and it's up to people like you guys. Well, I guess you're down there. People like you guys to figure out how do we capture this and create a business out of it. So awesome to hear the background and your guys' thoughts, but specifically for you, Lou, you captured that fire in a bottle with Giannis. Like you got him and he just absolutely exploded. What went into that? I know we talked about just generally recruiting, but how are you able to identify him? And then once he was part of Wave, how did you help support that growth and development?
Yeah, in the scouting of Giannis, back then I was a player, so that was the other guy that's doing the esports side with me, TCK. He was kind of, I think, behind scouting Giannis. Also helped him like a little bit in the development, but yeah, Giannis we got super early on. That was right after the World Cup, I think. But there were also a couple of other players that didn't turn out so well. But of course, one one had to pop off, and it was Giannis. Yeah, working very early with him definitely helped to build a relationship, I think, where he's also feeling appreciated. And yeah, I think for orgs like us that don't have like the super big financial backing, you definitely need to reach out or look out for talents that can grow with you together. One thing though, I think that we can offer as kind of market leaders in the Fortnite org area is that we are tailored towards doing Fortnite content. Like our whole day-to-day business runs around these players, whereas in like other tier one orgs, they're just like one of many games that they're in, and they're not getting the same attention, I think.
Yeah.
And especially as a young player, I think, or a newer player, if you have, like, for example, our latest signing, Badil, if you have also the skills and the willingness to do content like he does, I think he streamed 90 hours in the last 30 days.
Jeez.
And like his stream is blowing up, so I think we can be kind of a how to say, catalyst for helping them grow even faster.
It's awesome to hear. And investing in the person or the kid, I guess, not necessarily just as a player. And then on the flip side, Reno, you guys did something similar with Hen. He was performing pretty well, but then, past few months have been blow up season for Hen, and he's performed, done everything. The socials have exploded. Anything different than what Lou said, or any kind of insights you want to throw out for that?
No, it's kind of funny. Like we kind of came to the same conclusion earlier. Like early in building Become Legends, is we need to facilitate for these young players. These are very young men who are in a changing phase of their life, and we need to be able to support them in several ways. So obviously, every single player needs like individual, custom catered care package to be able to thrive in the org. And we kind of did the same with Han. We picked him up super early. I had really good feel about him. I saw lots of potential in him, and like personally, I'm like not good enough to give him the attention as a proper coach. We do have a coach separately for that, but personally for me, I built a personal relationship with him, and I helped him more on the mentality side of things when he was needing that. And I think that's the strength of the orgs like Wave and Become Legends and the endemic Fortnite orgs, that we are 100% committed to this Fortnite project. We're about in the tier 1 orgs. I mean, if they're part of a franchise like LCS or Call of Duty League or something, that's obviously completely different ball game. So like majority of the resources going to that. So it kind of comes down to the players in their when they transition to the career. Like, do you want a fat paycheck and a jersey and a retweet once every 2 months, or do you want somebody to actually hold your hand? And so that's kind of it's very, very, that's kind of the advantage we have as a bit smaller orgs compared to the tier 1 orgs.
All right, awesome. And you guys both kind of alluded to it. I know you are currently there. Lou, are you in the office as well, or are you at home?
I'm living 30 minutes away from the office.
Okay.
The others live in Vienna, like I think 5 minutes away from it. So I'm the one that needs to travel there whenever I go.
Gotcha.
But
I guess we'll start off with you, Lou. So do you have the players come to the office, or is that more of just administrative and management for that space?
So first of all, we actually planned a lot until Corona hit us all, and we wanted to do more where we fly the players out to us, or have them meet at the office and the boot camps in the Insanity. But yeah, obviously that got ruined a bit by Corona. We're thinking of some workarounds for early next year. That's very like 99% gonna happen. But the office from Wave, we made a cool office tour video. I think people liked it.
It was good.
It's a co-working space, and it's quite spacious as well. Like we can use more rooms than the one we have whenever we need. So it's just for the management, but it's possible that we could do boot camps there as well.
All right. And then on the other sid, Reno, I believe you're in the house currently.
I am indeed. I'm living here.
How's that been going? And did it meet expectations?
So we did a test project in the summer. We had like this little window. I don't know how it came about, but like all stars aligned, and we got to fly almost all our players to Norway from Finland, from the UK, from Sweden, and it was just a blessing. So we had a test project for like 3 weeks, and the measurement of that was absolutely phenomenal. So what we see when we have players physically on the location, we can create content with them almost on a daily basis, which is kind of our bread and butter. It's definitely working out very well, and I definitely believe in a model like that. Unfortunately, this house here, it's just me and Marin and one more staff right now. Since COVID restriction came in, locked every single country apart. It's quite impossible or very, very hard to get players out here right now. It kind of sucks because we have two 10,000 connection fiber lines in here. We're like on dark fiber, like it's absolutely insane facilities for gaming. But right now it's literally just where Marin produces videos upstairs, and we just use it as like a working space. So very, very, very challenging due to COVID, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's tough. And everyone's kind of experiencing that, whether it be a huge situation or a huge issue or just a minor setback. We're kind of lucky being in the gaming space, especially with Fortnite. The infrastructure is all online. But like you said, I mean, you guys both had plans for some IRL content, and you're shit out of luck for right now. To put it simply.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Jordan, you got anything?
Let's circle back a little bit. We were talking about Fortnite. We're talking about 100 Thieves getting their own little creative map in Fortnite. Obviously, to this point, Epic has been very hands-off with orgs. Do you guys wish that it was different? Do you wish it was more of a franchise type situation? It would kind of be difficult, being that it's a battle royale versus something like CS:GO or Rocket League or League of Legends. So I'm not really sure how that like structure would work out in terms of like a franchise. But do you guys wish that Epic was more hands-on? Do you wish they worked more with you? And are you in talks with them at all?
No, we're not in talks with them. Like, I mean, I did do some stuff with Epic when I had my events back in the days. We did one of the first LANs in Europe called Polaris LAN Pro Series. Most of the pros were there, I think. So, but yeah, I wish there were more hands-on. I wish there was more stuff we could do for orgs. I also support the notion that like I like the idea of having an open esports landscape, because most esports especially on a high level are closed. I think Fortnite is probably the easiest one to just like jump straight into. There might be like some mobile games you can do similar stuff with, but nowhere near like the same price levels or the same consistency of tournaments that Epic is churning out. So but I hope like for 2021 it starts slowly. Like, I don't know how, but like the dream is obviously to maybe someday be able to think about the business sense inside the Fortnite game as well. Like, as I said, like some jerseys, some revenue sharing, some stuff like that, some org support inside. I think it would create more buzz and yeah, and it would also like it would defend the investments that these salaries are going towards. It would make it more like legit to actually throw in the money, because right now it's like 100% up to us. If we don't do content, if we don't brand properly, if the players don't do content, like it's literally like just throwing money in the fire, because the return on investment is absolutely horrendous. So and the players like also have started going from lower in the percentages. So like even if they win big tournaments, the orgs don't get anything in return. So yeah, it's hopefully more Epic Games hands-on, in the future.
Yeah, my theory is kind of that I think Epic Games they at the start they didn't really see value in orgs. They thought they just create this whole ecosystem around the players, but like orgs they can do a lot of content. They can just overall be, I think, a great partner for any game developer, just to give more life to a scene. And yeah, I think what we're seeing though is that more and more orgs are coming in the scene now. I think it's more that the orgs see the value in having Fortnite players because of the big social reach that they have. And yeah, of course, with more orgs coming in the scene, the salaries get more competitive. And on top of that, what we discussed earlier is like the not so serious orgs that are also making empty promises for the players. It's all compared also with the esports investments that are going on. It's all just inflating the salaries. Yeah, I think that's why we're where we're at right now.
Yeah, it's interesting too because we always talk about Fortnite as a game where it's easy to, well, I don't want to say easy, but it's accessible for everybody to get into the competitive scene. Everybody could participate in tournaments. And if you have the skill and you have the ability, you can rise to the top. But it's very difficult for players to stay at the top because there are so many players competing with them, and there's new challengers every day. But it's kind of the same exact thing with orgs as well. Just because of how hands off they are, there are a lot fewer barriers to entry for orgs because you don't have to purchase into a franchise or anything like that. But because there are so many orgs, it's so competitive, there's no real support from Epic. It's definitely a lot more difficult to stay in the scene as an org as well.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, especially the more funding you throw into it, there is somebody who you will have to defend the investments towards in some boardroom or towards the people you work with. And like if we look at back in the last year, like in terms of have we gotten like value for the money we have put in some ways definitely yes, and in other ways like definitely no. So hopefully it's going to change a bit in 2021. Like I have heard some stuff, like I don't know if it's true, so don't quote me on anything of this, but I've heard that Epic is working on some stuff for orgs for 2021. Like I don't know exactly what, but and I don't know if I believe the source is credible, but don't quote me with this. I'm just waiting and seeing what happens. So yeah.
Their actions are starting to trend in that direction. So I trust more of
Exactly.
what
Yeah.
they do because what they
Same.
say is very minimal. But it seems that way. Sorry, Lou, did you want
Yeah.
to say something?
No, I just think overall, we've come a long way from where the competitive scene started. Back when we weren't even able to play custom games and had to play snipe games. Then there was a time where basically you could use, you could make these custom games, but it was mainly used for, I think, for bug testing or something. It was like very secret. Also, the access to these custom games. Then, of course, we had like the creator tournaments phase with all the content creators, and it's turning more and more into a competitive scene where also the only big names in the scene are like competitive players. Like if you compare right now the big names, it's like Mongrel, Benji, and so on, and there's no more TFUs and ninjas. So yeah, times have changed a lot, I think.
Yeah.
And then
And yeah,
for both of you, you don't need to share anything. Obviously, there's some things behind the scene, but the new year's coming up. Typically, businesses cycle around the fiscal year and how things go on. So, plans for 2021. Any big things we should be looking out for from either of you guys?
Lou, you want to start?
Yeah, of course. You'll definitely hear some things. We're cooking up some things, but yeah, I can't mention anything yet. But yeah, things are finally getting rolling for us. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of the same here. I can we obviously just had two of our core players depart from the organization. It's definitely sad. Wish them all the best. We support them, we love them, and we are cheering for them. But times change, and so we have a few extremely interesting prospects right now. Some dialogues going on in terms of players. We're also trying to expand our brand a bit more outside Fortnite. So what I can say is like in 2 weeks time we're actually going to have like a real life concerts here in Norway, inside like a fjord, inside a power facility. So we're going to record like a 45-minute to 1 hour session there. It's an absolutely massive production, and I think that's going to show a bit the way we're going in 2021 with Become Legends, trying to think more of us as a brand who, like, if Fortnite dies in 5 years or something, we still need to be able to have a business. So we have to like we're trying to not put all the eggs in one basket and trying to spread them out a bit. So and also in terms of other esports, we're looking, we're exploring, we're just staying put.
Yeah, I think it's smart to diversify at some point, but for getting started, I don't think there's ever been a greater chance than Fortnite. Like the growth that all of these orgs have with lower investment, way lower investment than other games is just crazy. It's Fortnite has a very young and active follower and player base, so that definitely, and they're also like very social media assimilated, or I don't know what word, but yeah, they're like 24/7 on the social media, so that makes it just very, very easy to have good engagement and growth as org.
All right. Jordan, you look like you're about to say something. Go ahead.
Before we take a few questions from chat, I wanted to, because what Reno said reminded me of something. Talking about like diversifying your options and building a brand that could survive beyond Fortnite. Do you guys use that philosophy at all with your players? Like, how much do you guide your players in terms of building their social media brands and just building their profile in general to make their to let them survive as like a social media person, as a brand beyond Fortnite?
Yeah, we definitely try. We've tried, and we try to like. We're all boomers here, but remember when you were 15 and somebody said talked about stuff like pension and saving money? It's like, what the hell? That's like, I'm never going to get to that age. Yet here we are. I think we have definitely tried to do that, and we're going to be more hands-on with that in the future, helping the players to think more of themselves as like a branded identity who needs to survive. I think the issue right now in Fortnite is like, many of the smaller players look up to the big players and they try to clone everything they do because they see like Benji successful doing this, Savage successful doing this. The reality is Savage and Benji could do literally anything and people will still watch it because they have real fans. So it's not necessarily that's the right thing to do for a smaller creator. So we're trying to de-hook them from the Fortnite bubble that they're in right now, and trying to make them understand that there's like other ways to both create content, to create your personality, and so yeah, we're definitely going to be more hands-on in 2021 with our players in that regard.
I think this whole brand topic and discussion is very interesting, and I think there's a lot of room to professionalize it more. For example, if you look back like 1 year ago, barely anyone was doing highlight videos, and like also these how I placed in this and so on cup videos. And if you did it back then, like you would actually start growing a lot. But now if you just do what everyone else doing, if you don't do it better, or if you're not more interesting, why would people watch you? So definitely being successful gets a lot of eyeballs on you. So I think it's mainly just like a discovery tool, competitive placements. So let's say you place number 1 in 2 cups in a row, and then start doing these highlights videos, like Vadil, our latest player. It's working very well. But if you're just thinking, okay, I just upload my highlight videos and I do this and that, and place top 50 in a couple of cash cups, that's usually not going to like blow your content up. So you need to be a bit more creative, I think, when creating a brand. One of our previous players, Frey, was, I think, very unique in that way, because he was like the flopper Frey, and like kind of the placement player, and like you need to find something that makes you unique and embrace the memes. I think that's the most important thing
Yeah.
when it comes to building your brand. If there's anything that people like that goes viral on the internet, take it and stick to it and keep using it to your advantage.
Yeah, if I can add to that, it's this exact same thing we did with Han. Like, I noticed
Yeah.
first time we met him, like he had this very colorful personality, and I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, you're gonna be in front of camera like all time, like, and he kind of just he was just himself, and people loved that. So we have been using that a lot to build him up, and yeah, so I think I completely agree. Just embrace it. Like, even if you I understand when like the young players might not like some of the memes. I know like Frey had periods when he was like, I'm not just flop of Frey, but I think like just go with it, just embrace it, because people mean it in like a good spirit, and I think it's a good way to build proper fans. Yeah.
Yeah. And whether you like it or not, people are still going to use it. And especially
Yep.
if you don't like it, they're probably going to push it more.
It's
So,
the internet. You can't escape.
all right, cool. So this is the part where we take some questions from the chat. If you guys have some questions for us, for these guys, go ahead, throw them in the chat. Also, take a chance, press that follow button, follow us on Twitter, or go to our YouTube channel. We got I think we're 23, 24 episodes in. So we're getting in there. It's been a starting project. It's been going on a while, and always fun to have people like you guys on here helping us out. All right. So sometimes we get some interesting questions. Sometimes they're trolls. I'm not going to waste you guys' time with that. But we do have one. Are either of you thinking to expanding to other regions, such as NA?
You want to start, or should
Yeah,
I?
sure. Yeah, we are. But one step at a time. Like, I think there's still we're technically like a Nordic org, so we still have Europe to conquer. So before we go into NA, we're just gonna spend our time. I've seen other orgs do this, and when you have like when you have a limited budget, if you spread that too thin, or you want to conquer the world, it's just gonna it's gonna be hard. So yeah.
I actually love what you guys are doing with like the whole Nordic. It's very it's a very homogeneous. You know what word I mean? It just fits together. It's like a theme that you can build your brand around. I think marketing wise, it's very important to just focus on a smaller region that you can fully capture, especially because sponsors, it's going to be hard to get into the global brands and the global marketing budgets. So for any org that's starting somewhere, having one core region is definitely the way to go, because like majority of money for any org will come from sponsors, and if you can offer them like a certain target group from a certain region, that's way better to start out than doing like different continents.
True.
All right. We got another one. I guess you guys have done this, but how would you make sure your business plan will be successful? And the person said, in terms of not going bankrupt. So, you got any tips for someone?
My tip is have some options, have some eventualities ready, have plan B, plan C, and also plan D if you can, and try to prepare for any eventuality. Like that's just because if we're in another game like Counter-Strike, we'd probably have a bit more like strict. This is our 3-year business plan, and this is what we're gonna do. Like, we know we have full communication with Valve. We know what they're doing. This is the majors that are coming up, so we can plan it. But in Fortnite, just like our business plan is more liquid, which means it changes a lot based on what's happening. So that's how we approach it, at least. But yeah, I think just have some backup options, and yeah, that's my suggestion.
Lou, you got any advice?
Yeah, just don't spend any money that you don't have.
Good one.
Yeah, it's good advice.
Good one.
Also saw a question for me.
Yeah, we got one specific
yeah.
to you if you want to answer that one.
Yeah, what was it like a big happening, or how did you guys in the office feel when Giannis won and Vadil won DreamHack, etc.? We're very often in calls if there's not a viewing party going on. Back when Giannis won, unfortunately, we did not do a viewing party. But yeah, obviously, big joy. Everybody's cheering. And we're like, I'm as a player myself, I'm like, at first I'm always happy for the player because I understand the pressure, the emotions that go through their head, and like, yeah, I'm just super happy whenever one of our players does well because I just like I feel with them kind of.
Awesome. All right. What do we got? Reno, you got any future plans for designers or editors? I don't know if that's specific. Maybe someone's directly already reached out to you and asked about it.
Yeah, we do. I mean, like we have done everything in-house ourselves so far, but like over the last few months, I've seen there's like so many young talented kids in this scene, like who are grinding. They really want this. They are like living and breathing Fortnite, and we kind of decided recently, let's just give these kids a chance. Let's just let them run some of the social parts. Let them make some videos for us. Let's just include them and give them a chance. The only issue, that we have tried to figure out for our sake, why we haven't done anything yet, like because since they're so young and we are a registered company in Norway, we have some laws that we have to adhere to. So like hiring a 13-year-old to do work for you, it's a bit challenging, right? Because we have a proper like board and investors and lawyers attached to all of that. So I need to make sure that everything is proper before we give them a chance. So the only reason we haven't done it so far is that, but hopefully and probably in 2021, we're just gonna get some of you in some intern position, something, and get you in there and just let you help us build up BL, because there's so many absolutely fantastic designers and editors and stuff out there.
That actually brings up a really good point. I don't know if you guys saw, but an 8-year-old was just signed to Team 33, and I think we're all pretty knowledgeable about Fortnite, right? I've never heard of this kid. Have any of you? And I don't know, like what?
I can actually say we had DreamHack Winter. We had a dad of a 5-year-old approach us, and he wanted to show me some of the gameplay of his son. And that 5-year-old was cracked. Like, he was really really good. His tiny little hands were like jumping all over the keyboard, and he was shitting on people, just to put it out there. I think this might be like the same thing. Some parent got in touch with them, so he might not be somebody we know about. Obviously, like with the terms of service and 13-year-old age to compete in Fortnite, so maybe it hasn't competed, or maybe has. I don't know. So I'm just guessing. It's probably some parent who's initiated the dialogue, and they have checked him out, and they're like, "Yeah, this is the kid. This is Messi. So let's just get him in at an early age."
With a $33,000 signing bonus, that's probably not
That's
helping
insane.
you guys with
I wish I got
I
wish I got a $33,000 signing bonus. No, I'm kidding. I guess there is something there that we don't know. I guess we will see. And I don't know like the nature of the contract or anything. I just saw Jake Lucky post it, and I saw the comments underneath. Some skepticism in terms of like child labor laws in that specific region. So yeah, but I think like I commented actually on that post, and I said, in other sports you have like junior academy stuff, so you have like young players like age 5, 6, 7, 8 who get into the junior academy. It might be a thing like that, and if it is, I think it's good to get them started at a young age. If the parents are behind it and they can balance real life with that, especially at that young age, I think we're going to see more and more of that in the future.
All right. one or two more
One-
questions for you guys.
Yeah.
And anything stand
I've
out in the
seen-
chat?
Yeah, I've seen Kingset asking a couple of times. He wants to know, how do we find these young talents and players and that aren't big yet on socials but help them grow? Obviously, we have pretty good tools when it comes to placement tracking. So anybody that has just like shows growth also in his recent placement, but not just like one good placement. If it's like in a matter of, I don't know, 2 months, just non-stop good placements, that's definitely an indication for a player to look at. Being also a player that played on a, let's say, high level myself, I understand also the game a lot, and I can watch them, the gameplay, and analyze it. So I have a very good understanding myself also to see if it was a fluke or if it or just if it's gonna keep going at a good growth rate. Yeah.
All right. Last one. I guess we'll take this question from Colin. Wave just dropped some merch, and apparently, according to Colin, what about BL? Why is merch not one of BL's priorities? And Lou, tell us about that. As COO, you probably had
Yep.
a lot of work to get that stuff out.
Yeah, like the merch, it's our first try at monetizing our fan base when it comes to merch. And yeah, we tried at the smaller scale. That's why we went for a limited drop, and we're pretty happy with it yet. And yeah, we really put a lot of effort into having more of a premium brand than just a standard esports merch where it's like a Chinese low production with slamming the logo on top of it.
It looks
So
dope though.
we learned a lot as well, and yeah, for the future we'll definitely have things more optimized. So every new thing that we do is kind of we try to learn as much as possible from it, and yeah, hopefully just keep doing it better and better. That's should always be the main philosophy anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, for us, people have been asking us about merch ever since we made the first jersey or the hoodie, which is this one. We went to the World Cup, and a lot of people like actually stopped us, like in the streets of New York.
Yeah.
Yo, where can I get that? And I'm like, I'm sorry, nowhere, not yet. And we've been very like the reason behind it is because it's from a business standpoint. Like we're not big enough to get the impact that we want with the merch sales. So my philosophy is with these kids, the way they think about things and the way they consume content, the way their buying habits. Like if we put something out there, like it needs to sell out really fast, and it needs to create a demand. That way we can create a business that can, like, next time we drop, it's gonna like guaranteed sell out because the demand is there. So we haven't felt like big enough to do it yet. And from a business standpoint, we're more looking into like if you look at like the risk assessment part of doing merch. Like if you do a small limited drop, that's fine. But let's say if we sign a huge player and we want to do some merch, I would rather go to maybe let's say like Champion or Hummel or Adidas and do it through their system where we get like a royalty of the sales and they do all the sales because they have the experience and everything. So I believe like it's a lot of work for us to facilitate, and like when we do something, we want to do it proper. So we spoke with the guys at Wave like a couple of months ago when you guys started the process. So like you do your stuff like hands-on. I think we will be doing merch in 2021, but we really haven't felt like as an org, as a brand, we're not big enough to get the impact that we want. So we're just going to wait until we are like at that level where when we put it out, we know like it's going to sell. So yeah.
Gotcha. All right, cool. Well, I want to thank you guys. It's been a blast having you on. Some great insights shared and knowledge. Lou, Reno, you guys want to shout yourself out? Any last closing thoughts?
Thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute pleasure. Love your podcast. Keep it up, guys. We definitely need more Fortnite content, so just keep going. Everything takes time, and I think this is going to blow up. So thank you so much again for having me, and appreciate it.
Yep. Also, big thanks from me. Really appreciate any any effort that's put in, any content that's put in more effort. Also like the Twitter content, the whole analytical stuff. I'm always checking those things out. And yeah, thanks for having me here.
All right.
Taylor, do you want to sign us off?
I will. Cool. Thank you guys again. Check us out, Twitter, YouTube. We're here on Twitch, so follow next time. We'll be back next week with another great guest. Thank you guys for hanging out. We'll